Kirk R. McFarlane, Royal Roosevelt Designs Contra Messi. You know what? Before we get into all of that, I gotta tell you guys, you're probably wondering, why does this guy have so many titles in his name? Well, this particular video, I'm gonna share with you why I've got so many titles in my name, why I started YouTube, and a little bit about my history. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Let's get into the video. The intro, it's royal. Check it out. First time being here, man. My name is Kirk R. McFarlane, and I appreciate you guys stopping by. I know there's 1,000 videos that you guys could be watching, and you're taking this small little time to figure out who this guy is, and I appreciate that. What I wanted to bring to YouTube are basically the things that I am passionate about. I have something to share and a little bit of knowledge that I can give to the world. So the things that I am passionate about are food, fitness, and of course my favorite, fragrances. So this is what this channel is going to be based on. So during my intro, you'll hear me say Kirk R. McFarlane, Royal Roosevelt Designs Contra Mestre Falcao of Capoeira Malays, aspiring chef to be, which is all me. So basically my first name, my middle name, my last name, Kirk Roosevelt McFarlane. I was born in Montreal, Quebec, Côte des Neiges exactly. And I moved, or my family, myself and my sister, we moved to Toronto, on the east side of Toronto in a suburb called Scarborough. Now within Scarborough, I grew up in a neighborhood called Malvern. The reason why I'm smiling is because Malvern was a little bit of a tougher neighborhood, and it still is a bit of a tougher neighborhood today. But a lot of who I am today I got a lot of that characteristic from Scarborough. You had to be tough, you had to have thick skin, and you had to be a bit of a fighter, but everybody was super fresh and super real. So it molded me. Malvern definitely helped mold who I am today. So a lot of the passions that I have today were created from, well, they came from somewhat my parents. So my mom, both of my parents are both Jamaican. My mom was an amazing cook. So her mother, her brothers, her father were all awesome cooks. It wasn't their job, but they were just awesome cooks. So typically on a Sunday, this is back when everything was closed on Sundays, Sunday dinner was like a huge deal. And I grew up helping my mom in the kitchen. So I was always in the kitchen with my mom. And that's where the passion for food came from, because I was around awesome cooks pretty much all my life. Going to New York, going to any family's house, which is in Montreal, we had amazing feasts and awesome food. So that's where the food passion comes from. My father, growing up in Jamaica when he was a kid, he listened to a lot of Cuban music growing up. So Cuba and Jamaica are only 90 miles apart. So my father grew up listening to freaking Pérez Prado, Machito, really big bands that were in Cuba. Now us, my sister and myself growing up, my father was a collector of music. So we grew up listening to some wicked music. My father collected music like soul, disco, funk, classical, of course reggae music, pop, R&B, African music, and of course his major love was jazz. Hence why I got Sarah Vaughan in the background there, if you guys can make that out. That's Sarah Vaughan. Yeah, that's Sarah. The love of music came through my father. So my father would go to the record stores on Friday, Saturday, and a typical Friday, Saturday night, my father would come back home and he had like a huge stereo system set up, and I'd sit on the couch and I would read the back of all the records that he purchased. And so this is where my passion and love for music came from. So when I shout out like a particular artist, like, yo, you guys gotta check this particular person out, is because I love music. Music creates emotion and brings you back to a time, and that's why I love and so passionate about music. So growing up, I was pretty quiet. I was a very shy child, but I wasn't very athletic. My sister was the athletic one. She had records in Ontario for triple jump. She held a record for triple jump for quite some time. and she would travel for basketball, for track and field. So she had the athletic bone. Me, I was a bit more creative. I was very shy, like I said, but I used to create things and I used to pull things apart. One thing about my sister that I gotta tell you though is that she constantly had to defend me. Growing up, my sister was that girl that you just did not want to play with because she would box you in your face. No problem. She didn't have a problem standing up for herself, and her mouth, as we call it, is hot. So she would oftentimes get ejected from games because of unfair play. And she felt like, yo, you can't do that to me. And so she would just go wild out, because that's how my sister was, man. She was a definite defender. We had some good times growing up. So like I said, growing up in Malvern, you had to have a bit of thick skin. Now, before the age of 18, I was running with some pretty interesting dudes that did some pretty bad stuff. So I decided at the age of 18, I didn't want to go to jail because it was kind of cool back then to go to the detention center when you're under the age of 18, because it was seen as like you getting your stripes. But I wasn't into that. And if you created a crime after the age of 18, that meant that you're going to like the big man jail. You're going to the Don jail, or you're going to Kingston jail. And you know what? I wasn't about to go and shack up with some dude for like 6 to 8 months. That wasn't my thing, because you know what? I was a gallus. If you guys don't know what a gallus means, definitely check on Urban Dictionary. You'll find it. So I decided to put myself into martial arts, and this is where my fitness journey started. The first martial arts that I practiced was Jeet Kune Do, which was Bruce Lee's martial art. Was basically what we know as today as MMA, because it was a mixture of all martial arts, but it was the actual martial art. You took something from Wing Chun, you took something from boxing, you took something from Savate, you took something from karate, you took something from Muay Thai, and you mixed it together. That's what Bruce Lee did. And I did this martial art for about 2.5 years. Then I found the love, the passion, which was a Afro-Brazilian martial art called capoeira. So capoeira is an Afro-Brazilian martial art that was born out of slavery. I felt like I could relate to it because there was a lot of music involved with capoeira, and there was movement involved in capoeira, and there was expression involved in capoeira. I've been training capoeira now for 24 years. So this brings me to my name, Contra Mestre Falcao. In capoeira, when you're training capoeira or you become a capoeirista, you get branded with a nickname. And my nickname is Falcão, which means falcon. My mestre gave me this name because I like to strike at the right time. So when you get a nickname, it's usually based on how you train, how you play. It could be based on how you look. It could be based on where you came from, or it could even be based on your career path or what you do for life. The level that I'm at right now is called Contra Mestre, which means basically supervisor. So it's like one before master, more or less. And my full name is Contra Mestre Falcão of Capoeira Malays. So the group that I train with is Capoeira Malays. So that's my name, Contra Mestre Falcão of Capoeira Malays. Also, another reason why fitness and health in general became such a passion for me is because growing up, I was in and out of hospitals. I came to the point where my mom had to choose either working or staying with me. I was a sickly kid growing up, and having pneumonia, asthma, all these allergies I had. My mom had to make a choice, either to be at work or to stay with me. So fitness and healthy living, eating healthy, became something that was really important to me, because it helped me survive, basically. And so I lived like a healthier lifestyle, try and stay fit, try and be active, and hence why this became one of my passions as well. So that brings us to my business name, Royal Roosevelt Designs. Better yet, my brand name. So Roosevelt, my middle name. And I started this business or brand in 2014. The reason why I started it is because back then I drove local transit, which was called TTC. And on the local transit, I drove a streetcar. Now the streetcar in the wintertime was always cold, because you're always opening up the door and closing the door. So you get that cold draft. So you'd wear a scarf typically. But the thing is, with the scarves, they would pill, and like the fluff would get into my beard and my chin and stuff, and it drove me bonkers. So I wanted to create something that was fashion forward, me being a fashionable guy, that I could wear that looked super fresh and comfortable and be functional. So I created something that is called a cowl. The cowl was the first accessory that I created, and it's basically a neck warmer. I'm going to show you guys basically what it is. So this is what a cowl is. I'll show you guys right here. So I designed this one. So I've designed all my cowls obviously by myself. And this one here says from the 6, and this is what it looks like in full length. This is a blanket cowl. And the inside is, I use non-pilling fleece because that's what drove me nuts, was getting all that pilling in my beard. So I'm going to show you how this particular blanket cowl looks. So this cowl is called a blanket cowl. So this is the cowl. As you can see, it wraps around your neck, and you can wear this spring, well, not this maybe particular one. I'm going to show you another one that I make. You can wear this in the winter time, in the fall time. You can wear it over your jacket, underneath your jacket, just to keep your neck warm. And then you just got different sets, so you can get it closer to your face. It can cover your face, whatnot. So this is basically a cowl that I created, designed, blanket cowl. There's my brand, Roosevelt Designs. And this is just one of many. I'll show you another cowl. So this is another one of my dope inventions. That is a blanket cowl designed by myself. And I've sewn everything myself. I sewn everything in my basement or wherever I was at the time. And I created these cowls. So the cowls are unisex. So this particular cowl, we got burgundy on the inside, and we got this amazing tweed wool on the outside. So this particular cowl is called a Barris. I've named most of my cowls after my family. So I got a Nick Ann cowl that's mostly for women, and that's named after my sister. I have the Barris, which is named after my father, Barris Ford. I have a cowl that is called the Denzi, which is named after my oldest son, and his name is Denzel. And I have one that's called the Zay, which is named after Isaiah, my son. So I'm going to show you guys what the Barris looks like. So this is what the Barris looks like worn underneath your jacket. And the Nick Ann is basically similar to this, just a smaller size for some women. So that brings us to another title, aspiring chef to be, which is me. As I said before, I love being in the kitchen. I grew up in the kitchen with amazing cooks like my mom, my grandfather, my grandmother, uncles, aunts. So being in the kitchen was easy. I love being in the kitchen. So I recently went to school and I did culinary management and nutrition. Culinary because I love being in the kitchen. Nutrition, fitness and nutrition go hand in hand. And I've been into fitness pretty much for many years. So it went hand in hand. So it made sense to me. But I also wanted to bring the food that I grew up on to the world, more or less, or to Torontonians, because I wanted to bring it into people's homes. And I'm an entrepreneur, if you haven't figured that out already. So I wanted to do catering, and hence why I went to school to do culinary management and nutrition. Last but not least, the reason why I want to include fragrances on my channel. I love fragrances. At the age of 14, I had a signature fragrance, and that particular fragrance brings a lot of memories back. It's extremely nostalgic for me. I'm gonna show you exactly the fragrance here, but fragrance for me is like music. It brings emotion. It brings you back to a time or a place, or reminds you of a person. And that's why I love fragrances. And you can ask anyone that knows me, I will always smell good, no matter what. If I come out of the shower, if I'm going to bed, if I'm lying on the couch, if I'm going to the corner store, if I'm going to the barbershop, wherever I'm going, I always have to smell good. Be fresh all the time. And this fragrance is very nostalgic to me. It brings me back to a time where things were so much easier. Life was simple. I used to spend a lot of summers in Brooklyn, New York, because I had a lot of family there. So this particular fragrance, the first time I purchased it was actually in Brooklyn. My uncles would give us money to go to Flatbush. For those who don't know New York or Brooklyn, there's a street called Flatbush where there's got a bunch of shops and whatnot. And I went down to Flatbush and I bought my first bottle of this particular cologne. Before this cologne though, I did wear a cologne called Azzaro for men. But this, at the age of 14, became my signature fragrance, and it's none other than Calvin Klein's Eternity for Men. This thing is so nostalgic for me, man. Oh, golly, damn. Oh, Sugar Ray Leonard. This became my signature fragrance. I'm talking when I would walk through the mall, old women would turn heads and be like, young man, you smell very good. And I'm like, thanks. Growing up in high school, grade 7, man, students, other kids, teachers never saw me at school, but they could smell me in the hallway. I would leave such a sillage of this stuff in the hallways. People knew that Kirk was at school, man. This was like very, very, this brings back a lot of memories, good times when life was so much easier, you know, and I love it. Eternity for Men. First banger. So yeah, that's basically why I feel like I should be presenting you guys with some information about colognes, because colognes, like I said, it hits your nerve system and it can bring you back to a time, a memory. It can make you feel good. It doesn't hurt anybody. It's awesome. Just like music. When Bob says, one good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. And I feel the same way about fragrances. So y'all gonna be talking lots about fragrances, so stay tuned to the channel. So in a nutshell, that's me, Kirk R. McFarlane, Royal Roosevelt Designs, Contramesse Falcao of Capoeira Malays, aspiring chef to be, which is all me, man, and that's basically why I have so many titles in my name. If you like the content, and if you like what I gotta say, please definitely subscribe to the channel, because I'm gonna be bringing content about food, about fitness, and definitely about fragrance. And make sure you hit the notification bell, because you will be notified every time I make a video. Until next time, stay up, stay fresh, keep it classy.